Hey, what is going on, you confused conkeldurr? That's right, Iron Valiant maybe found a new partner from Shrouded Fables in the Fighting Ursaluna single prize Pokemon. Before we jump into it, I break it all down though. Big shout out to TC Evolutions for sponsoring me and everything I do here on the YouTube channel with the live streams and as a competitor. If y'all trying to beat your, not just beat your opponent, but beat them in style, then you need the TC Evolutions accessories. They've got dice, damage counters, V-star markers, ability used markers. They've got it all. Check them out at tcevolutions.com. Also, you can use code AzulGG over there. Get yourself a discount. So go ahead and check them out. Link will be in the description. So this new Ursaluna from Shrouded Fables has 150 HP. It's a basic Pokemon. And its ability says when you play it from your hand onto your bench, you may attach up to 2 basic fighting energy cards from your hand to this Pokemon. So it is a little bit resource intensive, I guess, to get going, or I guess combo intensive. It's not that many resources overall. And then its attack for 2 fighting and a colorless energy has Mad Bite for 100 damage. You can do 30 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. And that's where the Iron Valiant EX comes in with its Tachyon Bits ability. Once in your turn, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to the active spot, you may put 2 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. So we can use 2 to 3 Iron Valiants and basically one-hit KO anything in the format. To get big KOs on stuff like Charizard and Dragapult, we will need 6 damage counters built up on the Pokemon through the Iron Valiant EX. But to take knockouts on stuff like, I don't know, a Raging Bolt, we would just need 2 Iron Valiant pings plus an attack from the Ursaluna to get that 2 prize knockout. And we also play one of the Ursaluna EX in here as a kind of a more efficient late game closer with that Blood Moon after our opponent's knocked out. I don't know, 4 or 5, or taking 4 or 5 prize cards, get in there with the Ursaluna for 1 energy or 0 energy with that Blood Moon for 240. And we could even like knock out stuff like an Arceus V-Star potentially with a couple Tachyon Bits built up on that. So we got 4 Ursaluna in here and 4 Iron Valiant. So the big thing that makes it hard to set up the Ursaluna, honestly, is it has to be in your hand. We can't nest ball for it and then get 2 energy on it. So that's really the restricting part about this card, I guess you could say. So we play 4 of them because getting it into our hand is so important. We also do play 4 Ultra Ball. I actually considered adding some Great Balls to this build, but I think maybe 4 Ursaluna plus 4 Ultra Ball will be enough to get there. For some support Pokemon here, we have the Squawk ability to get going aggressively on that first turn of the game. And then we also have the Pheasantipity EX for continued draw support throughout the game. I've theorized that in most matchups, our board will probably look like 2 Ursalunas because we do want to have 2 spaces on our bench for Ursalunas because we don't want to get Iono'd without a backup Ursaluna in play and then our opponent knocks out our active Ursaluna and then we just can't set up another Ursaluna. So we definitely want to be setting up our board state with the idea of having 2 Ursalunas in play in mind so that if we get Iono'd or hand disrupted with an Unfair Stamp or a Roxanne, our next attacker is already ready to go. Most matchups will need 3 Iron Valiant EX, like I mentioned. Some will be able to get away with 2, so that's 4 to 5 bench spaces taken up. We're not using the Ursaluna until the end game after we've already gone through some Ursalunas. So we have like 1 bench space to work with, really, to be honest. The Pheasantipity would be great in those situations, but sometimes the Squawk ability has to get involved. And when that happens, that can kind of restrict us from getting into the Pheasantipity. So I've opted for the Scoop Up Cyclone as the A-spec of choice here because it allows us to free up that bench space if we have to utilize Squawk ability and we want like triple Iron Valiant in play. But then, like I said, we're also going to want those 2 spaces to work with to have Ursalunas built up in play. So when we get Iono'd and our active gets knocked out, we're not scrambling to set up another Ursaluna that turn immediately. And we'll have maybe that other Ursaluna already set up ready to work with. Also, if we open up with an Ursaluna, can't get energy on it unless it comes from our hand, so being able to pick that up with the Scoop Up Cyclone could also be a pretty big deal. So that's another reason that I like the idea of the Scoop Up Cyclone in here as well. So that's the A-spec I landed on for those reasons. I think the bench controls are a pretty big deal. We could theoretically play stuff like Penny or Turo. Collapse Stadium's a little bit slow because we have to like play Collapse and then bump the Collapse to regain the bench space. So I think Scoop Up Cyclone just makes way too much sense with all of the hiccups we can run into with the lack of bench space. So that's the Pokemon lineup. That's the reasoning for the Scoop Up Cyclone. For the supporters, currently opting for 4 Research. We're a pretty aggressive deck. We want to see a lot of cards. And then also Arven is the other one I've opted for here because we are kind of a combo deck. Like if we have an Ursaluna in our hand, we might just be a Vessel or an energy retrieval away from just like setting up a Ursaluna and attacking from there. It's another card that combos really well with just getting Ursaluna into our hand is the new Stretcher card. Put a Pokemon or basic energy from your discard pile into your hand. So after an Ursaluna goes down, we can Arven, and instead of getting an Ultra Ball, which we might not be able to really support depending on what we have in our hand, we can go to Stretcher instead to recover the Ursaluna, combo that with an energy retrieval or maybe a Vessel, get the energy, get a Jet Energy involved for an extra pivot on the turn, an extra switch on the turn, and then we're attacking with another Ursaluna right there. So I like the idea of the researches for sure. The secondary supporter, I'm not sure if it should be the Arvins, but currently rocking that 4 Arvin. Gotta have some gust effects, of course, in the boss's orders. We are playing 3 Pokestop because we got a lot of powerful item cards. And of course, if we can use Pokestop, hit a powerful item, then Arvin to get the next powerful item, that's a pretty good combo right there. So I like the idea of the Pokestops. They might not be the move, though, to be honest. And running the Pokestops with only 2 boss's orders that are gust effects, I'm a little bit worried that we maybe need to try and include a Pal Pad. Another thing that I don't have in here, but I think we probably don't want it because we're going to be a pretty aggressive deck, is there's no Counter Catcher. Counter Catcher is generally something I like to include when I'm playing decks that play like 4 Arvin or 4 Irida, because turning those into gust effects is just so powerful. But I think generally we're going to be ahead on the prize exchange, so I don't know how good a Counter Catcher would actually be, but definitely something to consider including having, or once you've tested some games with the deck. So 2 boss, no Pal Pad, but it's definitely a thought, and so is Counter Catcher. So we do need to move our Iron Valiants around quite a bit with this deck to build up those Tachyon bits. So we've got the Future Booster Energy Capsules in here to give the Iron Valiants free retreat. We got 4 Switch card, 3 Switch. I had to find some room for some of the other cards in here, so I did cut back on the Switch cards by 1. I think it'll be okay, though. 4 Ultra Ball, like I mentioned. 2 Nest Ball in here still, because we do want to be able to find our Ursaluna EX or the Pheasantipity or even the Squawkabilly more efficiently. Like, we want to be able to potentially Arvin for Nest Ball for Squawkabilly. We don't want to always have to use Ultra Ball to find the Squawkabilly. Maybe the Nest Balls could go down to like 1 at that point for that reason, though. So we could cut the Nest Balls down to 1 potentially. That could create some more room. Finding the energy is like the hard thing in this deck, I feel like. So I've got 3 Earthen Vessels, but once we get all of our energy out of the deck, we need another way to utilize it. We don't want to like play like 10 basic fighting, I don't think. It's a little bit inefficient. So we got 3 Earthen Vessels to initially find our energy. And then we have 3 energy retrievals that once our Ursalunas start getting KO'd, we can combo the energy retrievals with our Ursalunas from there. And then to be a little bit more efficient with our Pokemon search, I've included 2 Techno Radar. Once again, combos really well with that Arvin, Techno Radar, get double Iron Valiant, get those into play. You know, double Pokemon search cards are always generally good. Once again, this is something we could cut down to maybe as a 1 of, but I probably wouldn't play 0 just because we play Arvin right now. If we cut the Arvins, I guess I could see an argument for playing 0 of these, but we need to play some amount of search cards to find our Iron Valiants, and we generally probably want to find them pretty aggressively. So yeah, 2 Techno Radar in here as well. I mentioned the Stretcher. The only other tool card I play in here, I was like, I want to play another tool card because it feels like playing 4 Arvin is not inefficient, but there's more value to be gained from playing 4 Arvin. If we're playing 4 Arvin, only playing Future Booster Capsule as our tool card seems kind of not great. So I've included a Vengeful Punch. I could see going up to a second Vengeful Punch. Vengeful Punch says, if the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, put 4 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon, so it can help build up damage on the next thing our opponent's attacking with to make it easier to KO with our next Ursaluna. So this card can be answered by like Vacuum and Jamming Tower and all that, but it's like another card our opponent has to find on their turn. And like I said, we could even include another one of these because then it would allow us to get more value out of our Arvins turn to turn potentially. So it's something to consider, but 1 Vengeful Punch might be more than enough for that. Pokestops, like I said, we got a lot of powerful items. We are kind of a combo deck. Going through our deck a little bit more aggressively, seeing a couple extra cards per turn could be very, very nice. This is another one of those cards, though, where it's like, having not tested the deck, I don't really know how the Pokestop feels with the flow of the deck. So I could definitely see us going down to like 0 Pokestops for sure. We could end up being a 0 Pokestop deck, but for currently, rocking 3 of them. Also, like, bumping Temple of Sinnohs and Jamming Towers would be pretty nice because we want our capsules online. And of course, we have 4 Jet Energy in here as well. Not only does it provide our energy attachment for turn, but it provides us another switch on our turn. So theoretically, we could have like 3 Iron Valiants in play. One of them has the Future Booster Capsule. We push that one to the active. We retreat into another Iron Valiant, and then we switch into another Iron Valiant, and then we switch into another Iron Valiant, and then we jet the Ursaluna to the active. We get the 3 Tachyon bits off, then we jet to the active, and we take on 1-hit KO on like a Charizard or something like that. So that'd be pretty cool. So yeah, the jets in here kind of just make too much sense in my head. But once again, that's another thing that I have to like test out. It's possible maybe we just 4 switch card alongside the Future Booster Energy Capsules, and then just more basic fighting could be the way to go. But the jet energy just seemed way too efficient in this deck to not include. So I don't see a world where we're not playing jets. I even had an Energy Lotto in here at one point, but I think probably more vessels is just better, prioritizing those fighting energy. But I could see even including a Lotto, so it'd be a little bit easier to find the jets. Once again, a little bit more synergy with the Arvin. We can Arvin for the Lotto for the jet, and then all of a sudden that could be the difference maker, getting that extra pivot card to work with to use Ursaluna to get its energy for turn, and also give us a switch effect in the in one card there. So that could be like really, really good overall. But yeah, that's the Ursaluna deck. Here, first take, Shrouded Fable, Ursaluna deck. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a like, and let me know in the comment section down below what other decks you want to see me come up with from Shrouded Fable. New archetypes, upgraded archetypes. Let me know. Comment section down below. Catch you on the next one. Peace.